TikTok has plenty of ways for you to make money online, and we're going to be going through them and finding the best ones, which brings us to this TikTok. Sweatcoin, an app that pays you to walk. Considering I've used this app in the past and I'm currently trying to lose weight, I wanted to give it a try. All you have to do is walk. Alright, it's roughly 5 a.m. It is 4:37. I don't know if you can't, but it is absolutely freezing outside. So let's get some clothes on. So I got my gloves, my jacket, and my shoes, and I decided to stretch. I stretched for about 10 minutes and started my walk. Every day you can walk up to 10,000 steps and it will pay you accordingly. 1,000 steps is about 1 sweat coin, meaning every day we'd make 10 sweat coin. There is a premium version, but we're going to be using the free one. And after walking for some time, I finally walked 10,000 steps. The beauty of this is that it pushes you to get active, and you don't really need to set time specifically out for this if you already do cardio. Alright, it's 5 a.m. and I'm about to knock out another 10,000 steps. The downside? I live in Ohio. Why is that a problem?
Only in Ohio, dog. That is the fucking abyss.
Before the demons attack, I'm gonna have to need to finish these steps, so let's get out there. I started off by walking at a fast pace, but since it was so cold, I was actually getting tired quicker. But I kept walking and walking, racking up all my steps. 1,000 steps, 2,000 steps, 3,000 steps, 4,000 steps, 5,000 steps, 6,000 steps, 7,000 steps, 8,000 steps, 9,000 steps, and finally 10,000 steps. And now that I've completed those steps, I can finally take a look and see what Sweatcoin has to offer. As I was looking through the shop, I realized that throughout the days you walk, the store actually changes, and you can even bid Sweatcoin on different items that appear during those changes. And I thought, what's the best way to get what I want? Well, let's set a goal. When I reach 450 Sweatcoin, I'll try to bid on an item that I want. And you're probably wondering, well, Dakota, this isn't making you money. Well, technically it's not, but you can use your Sweatcoin to buy and sell these items. Think of it like flipping, but better. So our goal would now to be reach 500 Sweatcoins, or somewhere around there. But to make this even better, I wanted to try and see if I could push myself. I wanted to see if I could make 500 Sweatcoin in 1 month. I've done Sweatcoin in the past and I've earned quite a bit, so it wasn't a question of whether or not I'd be able to, it's how consistent I could be. Several days after starting this challenge, I decided to look at items I wanted again, and I found something that I would go for. Before I left for yet another 10,000 steps, I found it. It was just a matter of time. 1,000 steps, 5,000 steps, and finally 10,000 steps. Day after day, I finished the steps I needed, and eventually, I finally have 400 Sweatcoin. The item I took a look at were some 6 shoes. I would then resell them, so while you can't really use these items as direct cash, this is something you could do on the side and let the Sweatcoin pile up to get some cool stuff, while also staying healthy. I, however, took the direct route, but you don't have to. With the 400 Sweatcoin, I redeemed my voucher and I ordered the shoes. Several days later, they arrived and I cracked them open. Fresh new shoes. So I had an option to sell them or keep them, and in this case, I wanted to try and sell them. I was getting offers for up to $80, sometimes $90. So this method is awful if you want to make good money, but it pushes you to get active. You're probably wondering if it's even possible to make good money otherwise. I don't think so. You have to farm up Sweatcoin as you go, and it takes a lot of time. This TikTok showed ways to make money with surveys. He tries comparing it to an 8-hour shift, but he only made 8 pence. I've tried survey apps in the past, but I want to see how realistic they are. Can you replace your part-time job? So I installed an app that I found and gave it a try. So I sat down and I tried surveys. I went on my phone and found some apps on the App Store. After looking for a while, I found an app with decent reviews, and I installed it. My goal was to be as efficient as possible and make as much as possible. I followed the instructions and installed apps, watched videos until I started earning. I tried different games and watched different ads again, but they had cooldowns and things like that. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, because I could just leave my phone laying around while I messed with other stuff or did other things. The apps you had to download, though, would be a bit annoying, because you'd have to hit a certain level or play it up to a certain point in these games, meaning you'd have to be completely hands-on and you need to pay attention to it, making this time-consuming. However, the ads you could watch while doing other stuff. The most annoying thing was the walls it would place in front of you to prevent you from doing more. If you did too many surveys or played too many games or apps, you would be put onto a cooldown. I'm going to guess that these walls were set in place to help restrict people from watching too many ads, because consumers would only pay for a certain amount of ads and could only watch a certain amount of ads. That way they never ran out of sponsors and they would keep making money while you would suffer. But between the downtimes, I'd do other things which helped keep me busy and do it on the side. And after about an hour, I had finally made this much money. Surveys never seemed to make us a lot of money, but the guy in the TikTok showed this much, and we made this much. So while it wasn't bad, it's just not as good as we thought it would be. And while I decided to use one app, theoretically, you could try multiple apps all at once and get things done pretty smoothly, as long as you could stay away from those super annoying apps that made you play games or try services. And feetfinder, you can take pictures of your feet and sell them for real money. Yes, real money. So if you have beautiful feet, you can make a hefty sum. However, if your feet look like something out of The Hobbit, there's probably still somebody into that. Anyways, first we need to sign up, and okay, all jokes aside, this is not something you would actually want to do. It's such a stupid concept. I mean, who would actually do this? Okay, hear me out. Next, we'd have Click-a-Snap, a website that literally pays you to take photos. I guess you could think of this like Patreon or OnlyFans, but only strictly for image content, and normally not sexual. I wasn't actually sure how much you'd make off of something like this, but Click-a-Snap boasts a pretty decent pay rate, or so they claim. So I decided to go to their website, and the first thing I'm greeted with is a pop-up yelling at me to disable my ad blocker. Once I saw that, I immediately removed it and I was greeted with 14 viruses. Nah, I'm just playing, but it's still annoying to see ads that you can't remove. Regardless, I signed up and started to create my account. Originally going into this, I didn't think I would be making a lot of money, but I was seeing people who were consistently posting and it was some crazy content. I can't imagine people continuously posting if they're not making a hefty sum or at least something decent. So for now, we signed up and we just have to wait. I'm gonna go to bed and I'll see you tomorrow. A few days later, I was actually accepted and we started getting to work. But at the start, I wasn't actually sure what would make us some decent money. So I went through and I did some research. I thought this would be a crazy idea and we'd make a lot of money, but we would need some crazy content in order to make crazy money. But I looked through, the most popular stuff was insane shots and just women. Yeah. Figures. But I get no bitches, so we're gonna have to figure out something else. That way I could maximize my efficiency and profits. So how could I do this with something I have access to? Animals and nature. Something extremely easy to take pictures of, but still cool enough to potentially do well. But again, I live in the depths of hell. Ohio has nothing special here, but the scenery is pretty nice, especially during autumn. Winter is pretty miserable though, and it's winter here. But there are still some cool shots I could get, and I have a pond in my yard, which also helps me with that. So 35 degrees out, I grabbed my coat and went out to take pictures. However, while I'm doing this, I'm going to show another one because this one will take a while. So AskWonder.com is a client and research website where companies and independents can go to get research done for them. It's something we can use to answer questions and do research in return for receiving money. Originally, I signed up and went full in depth with this in hopes to make some crazy cash, but it didn't turn out that way, unfortunately. I signed up and almost immediately that position disappeared, which is also a dodge now that I realized because it was technically a full-time job. It's an actual job to begin with, not something you can really do on the side, but I'm also still sad we missed out on the potential opening. But keep in mind, this is something that happens fairly often. You're going to run into problems like this, and sometimes you won't get the jobs that you want, even if they aren't actual jobs. So if you ever run into something like this, don't get disappointed. It happens. And I'm fucking freezing. Let's get back inside. So the photos I took were pretty cool. I took pictures of scenery and walked to my local park in the middle of winter to get these photos to show. It was pretty cool, but miserable. I took shots of the lakes near my house, the trees, and the scenery, and what animals I could capture anyways. But obviously there weren't too many. So I submitted them onto the site and waited. But we had another fail. I actually had some of my work removed, and it was a bit frustrating. But on the bright side, we did get some of them uploaded. Regardless of that though, these weren't making a whole lot of money, which was when I realized it was per person who used it. The service is actually for stock imagery, meaning you'd need people to use their service in order to get that money. And unfortunately, there wasn't much I could do. So I posted consistently, but still only made about $5 to $10 a day. And honestly, it wasn't good at all. It isn't that bad considering I only need to do about an hour of photography and maybe another 2 or 3 hours of photo editing each week. So for the work trade-off, a few $100s from these daily $5 to $10 was pretty good. However, in that same area, it's better if you just take that effort and put it elsewhere because you're just wasting your time making $5 to $10 a day. So Click-a-Snap made us a few $100s, which is cool, but we ended up not making as much as we thought we would during this video.